a little quicker. I am so glad that y'all are here. I am so glad that I'm not in this room by myself. That's kind of a lame team meeting, so I appreciate y'all being here. All right, well, welcome. Tuesdays are one of my favorite days of the whole week, and I always love to hear all the talk, all the communication, all the sharing of stories. Here's what I did on vacation. This is what we're going. This is what we're doing. So tell me something good though. Let's start this meeting off right. Let's start it off with feel good stuff. What is going right in your world? What is going well? Anybody go on vacation? I know you did. Staycation. Okay, maybe there's that. Joanna.
Good to see some friends of ours that we hadn't seen for a long time in Springfield. It was just wonderful. We spent 4th of July with their family. It was just wonderful. It's good to get away and see old friends.
Yes, reconnect. Yeah. All right. Anybody do anything fun or go anywhere fun or doing 4th of July? Same old stuff? Same old stuff? Well, sorry it was so lame. Ryan.
Peace and quiet. It was really nice.
Was peace and quiet why? Because you're out there now or what?
Yeah, living on acreage is nice, but then it was a holiday, so the phone wasn't ringing.
There you go.
That was nice.
Nice not to have to deal with clients for about 24 hours. It was good.
Yes.
We love our clients. We love all of them.
Yes.
We love some of them more than others. All right. But it was nice the phone didn't ring that day and just got to hang with family and do what we wanted to do.
That's great. Does anybody's neighborhood just go absolutely crazy with the fireworks? It wasn't carried. I don't think you enjoy. Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Here in Kansas City, Missouri City, they have really strict curfew. So,
Oh, strict curfew. Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
Really? On the 4th of July? I didn't know that. Well, all right. And everybody obeyed. Wow. That's good. That's good. Anybody else have something good you want to share with us? We want to know. Yes.
Closed on our flip on the 30th, which is why we weren't here last week, because we were pulling stuff out of the flip. So it's more in progress.
Okay.
So, and it's in Raymore.
It's in Raymore. Okay. So you were so you bought a flip.
Bought a flip.
So you closed on the purchase because you're going to flip it.
Yeah,
Okay.
So we're busy working on it.
Here's
all
the
month.
beautiful part of it. Something good is we closed on Monday. Painters were in there on Tuesday. I was just there. They're finishing up. Did a beautiful job. It's amazing.
So it'll be on the market by
Terry and I got
Friday.
In there, busted our tails, got the dumpster, got everything out.
Nice.
Worked on landscaping, so yeah.
It's a really good.
Dumpsters. Oh,
Ranch.
I'll tell you more about it. Here.
okay. Very good. Love that. All right. Last chance. Something good. Oh, your dad's 84th birthday. Oh, yay. Great job. Guys, I love that. Well, happy birthday to your dad. Very good. Steve, what you got?
Yesterday, I got my $8,000 in mine hour just for bringing the right paperwork.
Wow.
That's amazing. Good job. That'll make a difference. You can do something with that. 140 to 230. Yeah. Yeah. Very, very, very different. Very good. Good job, Steve. Yep. Shelby?
We are leaving on Thursday for Destin, Florida. So
Yeah.
week on the beach and making sandcastles and meeting other realtors at KW down there.
Very
So,
good.
Business trip.
Business trips.
Oh, very good. Did you have something else?
I got my first listing that I got a month ago or something like that. I've doing buyer's agency, but it's my first one. So went on a contract yesterday. And then thanks to Brandy and where is she here? Sandy?
I don't see Sandy yet. She might come in later.
They took my phone call on Friday before.
Nice.
They guided me to what to do next because I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
So we started working on it. Finally, I went to contract yesterday.
Good, good. Congrats. That's exciting. Maybe the first of many listings. Oh,
Helping on the board.
hey, real estate doesn't stop, right?
Yeah.
So, all right, what do we got here? Our vendors, our preferred vendors. Come on up. I didn't see Kaufeld. Lisa's on vacation. That's right. That's right. Okay, I was worried. I was like, we need to go check on them because they're always here. All right, so let's start with Todd from Fairway Mortgage. Let's give it up for Todd. Oh, we're
Don't do that very much. I'll fall right on my face. All right. So I have a question for you real quick. Who is Jerome Powell? Fed chairman. So why is Jerome Powell very important to all of us sitting in this room? Under low rates, right? So tomorrow, the Fed minutes of the June meeting are going to be released. So they wait weeks and they're going to read the minutes of a meeting. If anybody's ever scribed minutes for any organization you're in, it's the notes from what people are saying, right? So the minutes are really, really important. And Wall Street looks at that intuitively, like what are they thinking, right? So Jerome Powell, though, being the chairperson, there's like 12 governors, and then he's the spokesperson. So Jerome is pretty adamant that he's not going to lower rates right away, even though all the inflation data that we've been waiting for is really favoring him being able to lower that Fed funds rate. What he's waiting on are tariffs. He's looking for the possibility of what tariffs might do to inflation and causing prices to go up. Yet in the last 4 or 5 inflation readings have all been so low that it really could put him in a position to lower at the end of July meeting. Most people think he may lower in the September meeting, which I think is probably more likely. But it isn't just selfishly mortgage rates. What other rates are impacted by the Fed funds rate? Everything that we borrow money, because it's meant to stimulate us to borrow money when they lower, and it's meant to slow us down when they raise. 3.5 years ago, when the Fed started raising rates, the brakes were put on the economy pretty hard, right? And so, what was that? The emergency brake. Because does anybody remember how high the Fed had to raise rates quickly? Do you know how much they raised them? 5.25% from where they were. Okay. Now they did lower last fall. They lowered 1%. So we're still 4.25% above the where we were. So there's certainly some lag in the market that we could bring that thing down a little bit, right? So, but besides mortgages, selfishly, I want mortgage rates to come down. Lonnie always says that I control it. I promise you, if I controlled mortgage rates, those bitches would be zero. So, you know what I mean? So, but it's not just mortgages though. So think about it. You'll hear this in the politics of today. If the Fed lowers 1%, everything that is in debt can go down 1%. So if you're a municipality and you have a $10 million bond at 7, you could refinance it to 6. How much does that save a municipality? What's 1% of $10 million? A lot of money. 100,000, I think, something like that. So that's money. That's real money. Likewise, if you're the United States, you have $1 trillion that you could restructure down 1%. That's $10 billion. There's a lot of money to be had. And so if there's more money available for us to spend, guess what happens to the economy? Rolling. Guess what happens to housing? Rolling. Guess what happens to everything in the housing? Durable goods like washers, dryers, refrigerators, all the things that we haven't bought for a while, we start to buy because everything goes on sale. Car loan rates, remember when they were at 0 for like a decade? Yeah. And then when they got up to like 2 and then 4 and then 6 and then 8, I think the average car loan rate's 8% right now. It slows people down. What's going to happen to the car market if rates get back into 3s and 4s consistently? That might stimulate that. Big ticket items. So anyway, it's more than just mortgages. Understand that when the Fed starts to lower, it's going to stimulate everything we do. So you'll hear, sometimes you hear Lonnie say, I think it's going to be a good year for all of us. He doesn't just mean real estate. He means everything's going to get cheaper to borrow. Everything's going to, the snowball is going to get bigger because it's rolling downhill. Make sense?
Awesome.
Cool.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that little finance class right there. Appreciate that. And I really thought you controlled the rates. I mean, Lonnie said. All right, let's do Ron Alaba with Pillar to Post. Our favorite inspector.
Does anybody know who Jerome Powell is? I'm not going to try to do that. A couple things on our radon drop. So if you schedule an inspection with us and you know they're going to get radon, don't hesitate to say, hey, Ron, can you drop that early? So we would come, if it works into our schedule, drop it 2 days early. And then when we come to do the inspection, we can get the results then. So we'll be able to do radon that way if it helps on your inspection period, because we do have to wait that 48 hours. On air quality testing, it kind of works the other way. Once we do it, we have to ship that to, this is for mold, we have to ship that to St. Louis. So that takes a couple of days to get those results back. So we could still try to work that in if it helps on the inspection period. But I think the point is just to ask, because if we can come out, get this done early, get your inspection reports back sooner, it'll just help you. So just want to throw that out there.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate you guys. All right. And I think I saw them working on Saturday, if I remember right. So excellent inspectors there. Let's talk with Royal Roofing, JW, or whoever. All right, let's go.
Ventilation. Does everybody know how ventilation works on a roof? Does anybody know how
It's good. We need it.
It works just like your HVAC system. You have to have an intake and an outtake. So you want a complete circle. So even if a roofer comes out and puts 18 box vents on your roof, if you don't have any soffit vents, you're not doing anything. So you're gonna have blistering of the shingles. We're running in, me and Ryan were just talking about this. We're running into issues with that on the roofs we're looking at right now. Also, they might have e-vents, you can see them, but they have somebody come in, they blow insulation in.
Mm.
What do they do when they blow insulation in? They just stand in a hole and they spin around in a circle and just blow as much insulation as they can. So they cover up all the e-vents. So in turn, it blocks those vents. So there's no rotation of intake and outtake. Any questions?
How would we know about that?
If your attic is extremely hot, Paul's not here. We're working on helping Paul out, right? We put his roof on 6 years ago.
Mhm.
The ventilation is not working correctly. So no cost to him. We changed the ridge vent and we're trying to help out. Now he has an earth contact home with the furnace and unit in the attic.
Mm-hmm.
So you're getting heat off of that. So we're kind of having issues with that. So we're really trying to work on figuring out a way to ventilate his attic better to help him. Because in turn, that's going to lower your
Yeah,
electric, gas,
energy. Yeah.
energy bill, whatever you're using for your AC or heat.
What temperature should attics be?
Probably, I would say 20 to 25 degrees warmer in the summer than what your, so say if you set your, my wife likes it at like 58 degrees. I try to set it at 72. So if my attic's somewhere between 92 to 98, it's perfect.
Gotcha.
Now I know Paul, at one time we had him up to 120 degrees in his attic. So in the wintertime, it's the opposite. So say if you keep it, my wife likes keeping it 80 degrees in the wintertime. I like 72 again. The attic should be somewhere probably about 10 degrees lower than that. So like 62 to 60.
Okay.
Because
to
if
know.
you get any colder than that, what happens, Ryan, if it gets any colder than that in the attic?
Want that. Get water on.
Wrong. Wrong, Ryan.
Oh, well.
I know it.
See,
When you have a unit up in your attic space and it's 90%, you have to make sure that condensates all year round. And so you gotta make sure you get that condensation line down below the ceiling level so that doesn't freeze. Or what you can do is you can look at my master closet, you can painting on the ceiling that I have.
right now,
Or you can talk to my HVAC team out and switched out to 90% and put in a less efficient unit so it doesn't condensate in the winter. So you can do all those things. But yeah, you want to make sure that you properly ventilate.
Sounds like he knows.
yes.
Sounds
And I
like-
think we put his roof on.
Very good. Well, awesome.
Yes.
So those pillar to post people, do they take up to measurement of the attic or the temperature of the attic?
I don't believe,
Do you do a temperature reading in the attic?
Yeah, when George goes up there, he does try to take. So that they know, but, he does notate that they are too hot, and if any of that, those, vents are covered.
Nice.
and they've been really good when they do run into something like that. They usually reach out to us, or they have the realtor reach out to us, just have us come take a look also.
Very good.
So
Well, thank you.
All done.
Appreciate that.
I
Good
talked
stuff.
to you.
Good stuff. And we got our girls from Apex, Rustalyn and Raylyn. Come on up, ladies. Do you always wear green on team meeting days on
Oh,
purpose?
No, I didn't even.
Yeah,
think
I
about
noticed
it.
you do. I'm like, well, she does it.
No, I don't know where Tim's at. We have the cheering crowd when we walk.
Yeah, yeah.
So we've had a lot of rain, right? Yeah,
Yes.
we're all done and over with that. We've got it in our forecast for quite a bit longer, but when you guys are out looking, at your homes with your clients, you really need to be paying attention to your downspouts. I keep coming across so many of them that are just dumping right down there by the foundation. So resolutions on that is extending the downspouts up or out with a 90, with a pop-up that'll come out. Just, we've got to get the dirt, graded away from the home to where that way you're not getting a bunch of water going and that's what's shifting these foundations and causing the cracks in the ceilings and all the fun stuff. So it really does start with drainage and water management. So tip of your day.
Yay.
Enjoy.
Thank you. And I know Yelena, we talked about that this morning, didn't we? So you would concur on that. Good deal. Well, I appreciate all the vendors. Thank you for bringing great information to us. I've already learned more than one thing today. So great job. Forgive me again, going to pause that because we do have a pretty cool, we got some good stuff going on. So Stephanie, you want to come up and this is some developing news. Stephanie is our culture committee chair. Culture committee chair. You're a lot of things.
This is for
I am talking, but you're going to be here. So Stephanie and I quickly got together yesterday. I'll slide
Sorry.
over. No, you're good. She culture committee chair. I grabbed her just quick, spare the moment, because I was on a what they call the Keller Williams growth call every Monday. The leaders of Keller Williams jump on this call with out of Austin, and the topic of the whole call was the floods in Texas and the devastation that is down there and what Keller Williams is doing to help. We have several market centers in the area that are directly affected. None of them were ruined or, they're still there. They're still standing, but their people are reeling right now. And so the whole call was about that. And in fact, it got cut off abruptly. I don't even know what that was about. There's just stuff going on down there. And they need help. They need stuff. They need masks and chainsaws and bottled water and gift cards and. And so I grabbed Stephanie. I'm like, all right, culture committee, what can we do from Raymore, Missouri? And we kind of came up with the idea of, let's make this a place where people are our agents, your clients, your friends, your family, your vendors, your people, as well as our city. This can be a place where we collect supplies. I've talked to Shelby about it. She's in. And I just haven't had a chance. If anybody, this is really on your heart and you want to be a part of this, hang out with me after team meeting for about 5-10 minutes. We'll have a little powwow about how to get this done. So this is still developing. But we plan to be a collection site for whoever, whatever, how much ever supplies we can get. We will get a hold of a truck. We will rent a U-Haul, whatever it takes, drive it the 11 hours down there. So if anybody feels like driving a U-Haul 11 hours, I need a driver. Or two, and we'll fly you back. We'll figure that out. Vendors, if you want to be a part of this, you want to pitch in some money, we can, whatever. We'll have more details coming.
Mhm.
What
By
would,
the end
what,
of the week.
by the end of the week.
Well,
but-
we said maybe by the end of the day, hopefully.
Yep, by the end of the day, and we're going to collect supplies until
The
July
24th.
July 24th, which is about 2.5 weeks. It's a Thursday. That would give us time to get the word out, collect some supplies, kind of get a game plan. Disasters just show up on us. They obviously weren't ready. So that it doesn't take much to go get a case of water. Their supplies down there are starting to be depleted in their stores and whatnot. That's why I was thinking, instead of just shipping something down there, we actually bring it. Yeah.
And then when we share that post with you or the information with you guys, it'll not only be information with a list and dates and things like that, but it'll also be like a Facebook post graphic so that you can share that with your database as well. Because obviously if we post to the Southland page, you cannot share directly from there, but there'll be some documents and some files that you can download to upload your own logo and things like that so that you can share it with your database.
JW. Yes.
Yep. Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
we're going to make this, I mean, this isn't necessarily a Keller Williams thing, but we're going to just take the lead for our area. I don't know, there may be other groups doing it. I don't know. It doesn't matter. The more, the better. So let us be a place, a drop-off site where people, I know people want to help. I know people want to give, and it could be money. It could be supplies. We're grateful for all of it. And yeah, absolutely. It's a great, I'm glad you brought that up. We're going to create a graphic that you can share, put your logo on there, put your name on there, send it out to your database. It gives you another reason to touch all your people and to come with some sort of value and contribution to your people.
And I know with previous disasters like Houston and things like that, it is not going just to Keller Williams agents and their families.
Right.
It does go down to the Keller Williams Market Center, and I believe from yesterday you found out that nobody directly affected with KW, those market centers lost their lives, or they didn't lose any family members, but another agent in that area did. And so I'm sure some of that will go to them as well. It won't be just Keller Williams agents
Right.
or families that we're serving.
Right.
So
It will go down to the area. And that's the cool thing. I posted it over the weekend. How cool to be a part of a company that's big enough to be one of the first ones on the scene with supplies, with help, with aid when these kind of things happen. This isn't our first rodeo here. They have, KW Cares has semi trucks ready to go. We've done generators. We've done whatever it takes, whatever it takes. And so when you donate to KW Cares a little bit out of your commission checks, it's going to this. It's going to stuff like this. And this just happens to be on a big scale.
And I think too, yesterday you told me that the team leader down there, they do have a lot of supplies and things right now, but a lot of times people come and then they leave. And so that's why we're kind of waiting that 2.5 weeks, let all of that stuff happen. And then we can follow up with some extra stuff as well when they run out.
Because they're going to need stuff for a while.
Yeah.
Another just cool story. I mean, there's a lot of heartbreak and a lot of sadness coming out of this story, but there are opportunities. Another cool thing would be there was another brokerage down there, not Keller Williams. I don't know. They didn't say the name. It doesn't matter. There was another brokerage that was destroyed by the flood and all of their agents were displaced. And so the Keller Williams office said, hey, we've got some extra space. We've reworked it. If you guys want to come and share the space until you figure out what you're doing, come on. And I thought that was pretty cool, that's what's happening. Texas shows up, they show up big. And so it'd be really cool if we could be a part of that. So stay tuned for the flyer, stay tuned for more details. Just know that that's what we're doing. And like I said, if this is kind of on your heart and you want to be a part of the planning of it and executing of it, stick around after team meeting, 5-10 minutes. We'll just powwow around that, whoever wants to do it. And if you feel like driving at the end of July, a U-Haul to Texas and flying back, talk to me and let me know that as well. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it, Seth. All right, here's our calendar. Very colorful, very full. So let's talk more about that. Tomorrow, Wednesday, I've heard from a few of you going, how do I get that little thing on my email? It has your face and your name. Well, it's called an email signature. And if you don't have one and you want to know how to get one, come to class tomorrow at 10 a.m. and I will show you. We'll create one. So bring your laptop. We're going to do it. And I'll show you how to create it and put it in there. Yep.
Will that be recorded?
It will.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be recorded. So that's coming up tomorrow. Our office calendar, which we saw. Oh, is this? Oh, sorry. Okay, so going back here, there you go. It's just a little bit out of order. Okay.
All right, real briefly, all we wanted to say, oh, you went back, is we had talked about different ways to connect everybody and to be in the know with our calendar. So Brandy had this great idea of just coming up with a system where we send you an invite to add the calendar. So everybody here at about 2 o'clock, 2:01 and 30 seconds.
Oh, goodness.
No, I'm kidding. You're going to get an email, and this was a screenshot of, it's going to be a little bit more. It'll be probably like, hey, join our calendar, but it will be a link in your email, and you can open it on your mobile or your desktop. And if you click on it, it's going to basically say add to calendar, and you hit OK, and then it won't infiltrate your calendar. It just keep it simple the way it works. It's an added calendar, which means you can turn it on and off so that it doesn't, flood everything. But if you leave it on, you open up your Google Calendar app or your desktop, on your Google calendar.google.com, all of our everything going on will be in there. So it's just a simple way. I built an entire calendar last year, but it got a little complicated for a front desk person. So this is the simplest way. So you're going to get an email today at 2:01 and 32 seconds. Be on the look for it. Be on the lookout. If you didn't receive it or went to spam or whatever,
We'll put it in Facebook too.
let us know. And there's also going to be, yes, we're going to put it on Facebook. We're also going to put it on the top of the flow page, the very first one. Add our calendar to your calendar kind of thing. So that's exciting because basically somebody was talking about, I think it was Nanette, like if it's not on my calendar, you were talking about the bold law, it doesn't exist. You'll be able to have access to it now. Open your Google Calendar app and everything will be right there. So we're just trying to make it as simple as possible. So any questions on that?
Thank you.
So is that helpful?
That was
Okay.
definitely Brandy's idea and it's a great idea.
Well, I took suggestions from somebody saying, so when Lacey, just so you know, when Lacey adds something to our Keller Williams Southland calendar, it will just automatically show up on your calendar. And then that way, when you open your calendar, your Google Calendar, I should say, when you open that calendar up, you'll be able to see what's going on in the market center that day.
Yes.
It'll all be color coded. The way it works, it'll all be color coded. Now, the way it showed up on mine and the way it showed up on hers, it's like this weirdo brown color, which is fine because I don't use that color. So now every time I see weirdo brown color, I'm like, ooh, the office has got something going on. You can change that, but anyway.
So one quick note about it, it will give you a view, but it won't, it doesn't give you a reminder for every event. So I just want to be clear about that. It
Yeah.
just lets you see what's going on.
Maybe you could set your own reminders.
You
if
can
you
click
wanted
on
to.
it and say, remind me, but it just is a view calendar that you can, click on an event and have it remind you or whatever. But now you can have access to all of our events and everything
So-
we got going on.
We've got paper calendars. We've got calendars in Facebook. Now you got calendars on your phone. We got calendars everywhere. So now you should know what's going on. Plus, we have things like, thank you for doing that, by the way.
Absolutely.
We have things like team meeting that goes over the different individual events. This one's coming up. Career night is coming up this Thursday, like in 2 days. So if you know somebody that is thinking about getting their real estate license or wants to know more information, bring them. Come with them. If you can't come, at least send them. I would love to go over all of that. I like it when agents come with their people though, because it helps them just feel more at ease, but also it kind of it helps me also put a visual. So when I'm having that person, if they follow through and they get their license, they go in your downline. So anyway, it's just an opportunity. You don't have to know everything about how to get your real estate license, even though you did that. It might've been 10 years ago. It's not your job to remember that. It's my job. So bring them to career night, put this on your Facebook. It's a great way to grow your downline. That's coming up this Thursday.
What time is it? It doesn't.
6 p.m. It's down here. Not very big, but 6 p.m. on Thursday. I should only last about an hour. One other thing I don't have a slide for right after this meeting is the lunch and learn with the county. Jeff Fletcher from the county. Remind me, what does Jeff do at the county? Commissioner.
Great guy. Super awesome to have him in here. He'll be able to explain a lot more what he does as a commissioner, but he's a great resource. Anytime I have questions, I know to always call on him to either get me the answers or find me the person.
Nice.
So great resource.
So Cass County update, if you RSVP'd already, there will be lunch for you. If you did not RSVP, you're still welcome to come to the class. Just don't grab a lunch. That's kind of how that works. So that's right after this class or right after team meeting that starts at 11:30. What else? Command websites with Caesar on Monday. So if your command website isn't what you want it to be, if it's not set up, if you check it out. Have you been to your website lately? Do you like it? Do you have it? Where are you at with it? And maybe you need to come to class on Monday. Anything you want to say about that?
We're just going to come up with, I'm going to go over a couple of cool ways to use this with your clients, basically listings and clients, open houses, things like that. I know this stuff inside out. So just come Monday. We're going to go over some really cool power tools.
And I would say this, Caesar he's kind of held back. He's held back on teaching this stuff because once he opens those floodgates, it becomes floodgates and he's so stacked with other things. So I would recommend when you see him teach, you better get here because there's no guarantee after that he'll be able to help you or help you in a timely manner. We also have a tech committee with Joe Goodwin and Paul Fife can maybe help you. I'm just saying, don't just skip the classes and then think he'll be able to help you later. It may not work out that way. So we appreciate him teaching. He's done so with caution. We don't want to swamp him and overwhelm him with our tech questions, but appreciate you teaching, and that'll be Monday. And I think you're teaching the next Monday, but we'll talk about that later. So next 2 Mondays. Wealth Building Club is coming up. Put that on your calendar. It's well, just subscribe to ours and we'll put it on there for you. Wednesday, July 16th at 3 p.m. And then we're going to have happy hour. I'm not sure the topic. Lonnie gets back Thursday or Friday. Lonnie will be back and he'll have the topic for us. So it's always good stuff though. Soul Mastermind coming up this Thursday with Rustalyn leading that one. And really good. There's been some really good calls lately. Really good calls. So if you're not on there, make sure you're on there. It's the 10th. Thank you. Thank you. It said the 2nd and I changed it to the 9th, but I still didn't get it right. All right. July 10th. It's this Thursday. It's always Thursday. So, make sure you tune in. If not, you're missing out. List to Last. This is the Gary Keller class that he's teaching on the Master the Art of the Agreement. He's going to talk about buyer agreements, but also listing agreements. I know it says List to Last, but it's about agreements and about the power of that, how to get that, how to keep that, how to earn that kind of stuff. Good stuff. Now, you notice July 16th is the same day, same time as our Wealth Building Club. So if for some reason you don't find yourself at Wealth Building and you want to watch that on July 16th, you'll have to watch it on your own via Zoom. Yes?
That 2 different, I know it's the same class.
Yep.
It's going to be replayed the exact same, or is it another live?
It's another live class. So correct. And the disclaimer's gone out that this is Gary and you never know what he's going to do or say. So it's supposed to be the same content, but it may actually come out different. But on the 23rd, we will have a watch party right here. If you want to watch it with everybody, it's from 1 to 4 on the 23rd. Okay. Capper Connect. If you are a current capper, meaning you've capped within the last 12 months, you are invited to Capper Connect. This is Rich Steffen, business strategy coach. He specializes in real estate and helping agents. His topic will be clients for life, how to attract, win, and keep them. That's coming up at the end of the month, July 30th, across the parking lot at the bank. They have a really nice conference room, and we'll have lunch provided. I'm not sure what the lunch will be yet, but I've thrown out some of my favorite suggestions, and our vendor will be picking that. So it's just a cool thing. If you're not a capper yet, hang tight. Go ahead and get that taken care of, and I'll make sure you're on the next invite the next time. Any questions about any of this so far? It's been a lot coming at you. You guys are doing great. All right. Darren, yay. Let's give it up for Darren. This guy is a hardworking broker here.
Nice picture, Darren. Nice picture.
This is Darren. Darren chose this picture. This is not like, hey, it's awesome.
All right, this will only take about a half hour. Well, first, since they're both here, the hours that these guys put in, think about it. The hours that they put in.
Thank you, Darren.
So I'm covering 2 things, but they're kind of the same today. Let's just stay out of trouble. Fair housing. We've talked about it before. Some of you weren't here probably. We can't talk about religion in housing. We can't talk about, Christmas holiday or family friendly. We can't talk about familial status, which seems weird because we have to put on the offer whether they're married or single. However, we can't talk about how close it is, how you can walk to school. Not everybody can walk. That's handicap status. Let's think of our words, like in 2nd grade, use your words. And then also defer. Is this a good neighborhood? Well, you'll have to check crime stats on the internet. You know, I'm not from here, you know, whatever. I don't live here. I don't know. As soon as you say it's a good neighborhood, the neighbor's going to stab his wife. I mean, yeah, pick one. So just second thoughts when you're typing stuff on in October and November, we start seeing stuff about celebrate Christmas here, celebrate Thanksgiving here in the text. And it's just not a good look. We don't want to do that. Which leads me into love letters. So I'm going to suggest we don't do them. We don't write them. We don't accept them if we're a listing agent. Seems like the right thing to do to give your buyer the leg up. If you're a listing agent, and I know the market's a lot cooler now than it was 3 years ago, but let your sellers know you're not going to present them if you get them. Maybe if you get multiple offers, you might mention to the seller, you know, hey, one of these wrote a love letter, but I'm not going to share it with you because some of the things that we just talked about might be in that love letter. I even wrote a clever sentence. I should have had okay, a love letter. Good point. Love letter with the offer from the buyer that says the buyer, quiet back there. That's detention for you. So my example of a love letter, part of a love letter, might say something like, my husband and I can't wait to watch our children run down the stairs on Christmas morning. How many screw ups are in that sentence? So that's just fair housing all over it. So some people write 2 or 3 page letters about how we love the house and you painted your kitchen the same color as my grandmother's kitchen and, you know, on and on and on and on. Let's let the offer stand by itself, the price, the terms, the closing date, the as-is addendums, you know, those kinds of things.
Serious question. When a client rebuttals back, when you tell them that, you know, you can't answer those questions, they're like, then why do I have a realtor? Like, why? Like, that's why I hired you, was for you to be able to tell me, I'm not from here, I'm from wherever.
You mean like
I'm coming here.
the neighborhood stuff?
Savvy thing.
This savvy neighborhood stuff, like, I'm really serious.
No, that's a good question. And you're right.
Frankly, like you said, our country's lost their way a little bit. Like it would be nice to know, like, where do we stand on this as agents? Like, you cannot speak freely anymore. Like,
Unfortunately, that's true. You don't want to speak freely.
I actually tell people, I'm like, hey, what I think is safe and what you think are safe are completely different. Where I'm comfortable and where you're comfortable, I was showing a house with bars on the windows. I would not buy that house. But the other person was like, hey, at least it has bars on the windows. It's great. I don't have to have all bars.
Well, and I've always said every house is a step up for somebody. What we think of the house, you know, putting our kids in it or whatever. Oops. But it's perception.
Yeah, it is.
And
I'll have
I defer that one by saying, I'm not looking for a house. I'm not the one doing this. But it's always safer to let them do their own research because, like she said, their version of safety is their version of a good school is going to be different than mine.
What's
I-
a good reputation?
Yeah, you could refer them to the school website. You could say, look, far as I know, it's got good ratings maybe, but that's up to you. And I always tell people too, I'll be there in a minute, Ryan. What I always tell people is, I've had people call me in the years past that want to leave a certain district. I've had people call me that want to go to that district. You know, if you're locally, hey, I've had people want to leave Belton, but I've also had people want to go to Belton. So you kind of answer it without answering it and let them make their decisions because it's really, you know, what are the crime statistics? Well, I don't know. You can call the police department.
Did you use
you know, this isn't my opinion, but so-and-so's, like, little source. The source says that the crime rate is blah, blah, blah.
I'd rather not.
I would stay far away from that. Probably suggest that they do in the websites and.
Right, I mean, but like, if you're in the house and you're showing it, you can give them that and then text them the website, please look further into this, but this is what I'm finding. I mean, if you're quoting a fact, I don't see how factual knowledge from a website is any different than from the website itself.
Tread carefully is all I would say. I always let them do the research.
It's even in the contract that way. It's
Yeah.
on the buyer's due diligence to check for sex offenders, crime rates, all that stuff. Somebody needs to call on Ryan.
Yeah, you in the back row. Your arm go to sleep?
Now, business communication, so when they say, is this a good neighborhood, ask them to qualify what that is they're looking for, or what they're not looking for, they'll probably tell you that. And then represent them and send them to websites to go do their own research, give them the information they need, but ask them a question back.
Yeah.
They're heard, now deliver them the opportunity to do their research, so that they feel like they're getting something from you, other than like, I don't know.
That's a good
You gotta
point.
Do that, so ask them questions to qualify, because they may not be worried about staffing, okay? Maybe they're not worried about that, they're worried about education for going to go.
I can handle a little gun or a little knife.
One thing, when you were asking about, well, what are we hiring you for? If you can say to them, legally, I really can't comment on that because of fair housing and representation, give them a reason why you can't answer that. I mean, it's not really passing the buck, but you're explaining why you can't say anything. That kind of softens it a little
Where
bit.
it's real hard, and sometimes we know our clients real well,
Yes.
like they're friends, and
Yeah.
then it gets really tough when they do things.
But if you
And
can-
it's,
It's not you not saying it, it's somebody else holding your hand.
I'm not able to say this legally because of my license, but I can give you these websites.
Exactly.
And I would encourage you to probably should look into this.
Exactly.
yeah, and you can't predict the future. Yeah, it's a great neighborhood, move on in, and then the neighbor
And then stabs them.
beheads his wife or something. I mean, let's take it to the extreme. Oh, well, anywhere I can. Huh?
Why do you think we should sit there and do a whole class and give
Oh,
us
God, no.
all this?
Get that on the calendar.
All right, let's
With
do that.
videos and everything from the FBI.
Yeah.
Say, I just recommend driving people, like people meeting look there, that's what I've been doing.
Yeah.
It's in an area that I'm not familiar with,
Drive it in the evening, drive it on the weekend.
Yeah, plus we've got Google Street View and Google Earth, and you can see if there's a junkyard next door.
Yeah.
Some people may want a junkyard next door.
Yes.
So your house that is not really.
Right. Been there, done that.
All right.
Thank you, Darren.
Clarification?
Darren, working hard too.
Yes, thank you, Darren. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Fine for that.
Fine for them. No, Jake. Oh, my God.
Yeah, but yeah, I wouldn't live in the ghetto. Like, how are we held accountable for that?
I've already got a million fines right now.
Well.
Oh my gosh, Mickey.
Full wrath of the federal government. It's just fair housing.
Fair housing's not something we want to mess with. All right. All right. Last one here, JW.
The homeowner, FaceTime boss, doorbell cameras.
Doorbell camera?
Be careful what kind of conversation you have. You're being recorded at all times. We didn't say anything bad. It's just now our install didn't go like it was supposed to be 5 years ago. We heard that. We said that over the phone. They heard it on cameras. Now they have proof.
Wow.
So realistically, we're gonna make it right, but the guy used the recording against us.
Gotcha. Well, good reminder. Good reminder. All right, we're going to transition here just a minute. Caesar and I asked Caesar to hang out with us today because we obviously share the same last name. We share a lot of things. We've been married 23 years, and we've learned a thing or two about how to work together. It's a thing. If you're married, and I think in the beginning we couldn't have loaded a dishwasher together. He's left-handed and I'm right-handed, so he puts the plates always the wrong way. The plates always face the left, his plates always face the right, and I've just learned to let it go. Hey, they're getting washed. But early on as a young bride, that wasn't gonna work. And because that's not how the dishwasher works in my mind. But we've learned how to work together. We've led organizations together. We have a family. There's just all these things on multiple layers. And one of the things you may or may not know about us is that, and I wanted to kind of just we're here with you all the time, but I feel like sometimes you may not know there is more to us than just our roles. And Caesar's been an MCA for almost 2 years, but he has a lot more skills and a lot more talents and background and all that good stuff and then even myself, you guys know I was a teacher, I was a stay-at-home mom, like all these things that we have done in our past have led us to this place where we can be here with you guys, where we want to be here with you guys in a leadership role. Trust me, we can make a lot more money out there selling houses, but that's not what we've chosen to do. We've chosen to be in these roles because we like it, because we feel like this is more our lane of where we fit, where we thrive, because we view ourselves not just in this role and in this capacity, but in life as trainers and equippers, like coaches, like instructors, or just coaches is a good word, I would say. And so this has been a role that we've been in for a couple decades, actually, in other capacities. And so we've learned really well how to flow together. And so I asked him to be here to work on this, if that's okay. Or not work on this, but tag team with me and flow together here, if that's cool. And I know that's cool with you. We already talked about it. So one of the things we're going to talk about today, by the way, we love mindset. We love mindset stuff. Lonnie does a really good job of tackling all the practicals, the forms, the documents, the strategies for real estate. He covers that. He kills that every week. Where I thrive and where we specialize is more on the mindset side of things. We love that because, and it takes both. It takes both. And so today some of you have heard me say that I have struggled with goals personally. It wasn't until I got into real estate that I actually created a goal. And I cried the first time someone asked me to create one. I think I cried. I think I had a small panic attack because of the way a lot of us, ADHD, anybody? And to tie us down to a goal just felt awful. Because I remember the first time I came into real estate and my coach asked me to create a goal about how much money do you want to make? I'm like, I don't know. Why are you going to tie me into a certain number? I don't know. I don't know what I can do. Well, how many houses do you want to sell this year? I don't know. And I panicked. I think I was sweaty. It was a whole thing. And I was like, whoa, it brought up something inside of here that I didn't realize was there. And so I didn't start off on the greatest foot with goals. It was a process. I wanted to push goals away. And I was like, let's just ride this thing out and see where we end at the end. That doesn't always work well, but that's how I did it. So my goals, instead of her goals, my goals were, I want to be Rookie of the Year and I want to cap. If I can do that, I'm good. So that's how I started. I was able to do that and I felt like I won. And I made money at the same time, bonus. So that was just my journey with goals. Now he's been setting goals forever. He loves goals. He's always writing them down at his desk in the office, at his desk at home. There's goals written on little papers. You shaking your head. Are you like that? Oh, family goals, business goals. God bless you, Shelby. But I would imagine, without asking you to raise your hand, I would imagine that I'm not the only one that feels this way about goals. Or you've tried and it didn't work. Or I almost felt like if I set my goal, this is what I always thought, if I set my goal too low and I just zoom right past it, then I'm like, was it really a goal anyway? Did I even really accomplish anything? Because I just ran right over it. Or if I set it too high that I can't reach it, then I'm going to feel like maybe I'm overthinking it. It probably was. But that's the real struggle. And so one of the things, but I realized goals are good. Goals are actually good. Goals are my friend. I had to reframe goals. And what's funny is in my first market center as a 1-year agent, we were teaching Ignite. Well, the market center was teaching Ignite and they needed an instructor. And they asked me, now here, former teacher, I couldn't wait till I knew enough that they asked me to teach something. Couldn't wait. I was like, if I could just learn enough, sell enough, I want to help teach. And I got called on to teach Ignite. Lesson 5, at least in that version of Ignite, was goal setting. And I was like, of course, I'm going to get up and teach on goal setting. Well, thank goodness they gave me a curriculum. I was able to follow it and I was able to teach about goals. But it's funny. Caesar used to tease me about it. In fact, I was on a team for a second, and they asked me to set my goals. And I'm like, I don't know. He's like, I'll do it for you. So he set my goals. He filled out the paper and turned it in. We turned it in. I'm telling you, I'm just being honest. This is my struggle with goals. And the problem with me was that I would set goals, hold on, that look like this, because this is what was taught to me in the beginning. Well, how many houses do you want to sell this year? Well, I want to sell 16 houses. And when I get one, I'm going to color it in or check it off. Okay, cool. That's a visual representation. And if this works for you, fantastic. I know, Fins, you guys have this in your office, I believe. You guys do it year after year. I love that for you. This would stress me out because if I'm not filling them in fast enough or enough of them, I'm going to go, what the heck am I even doing? What's that? You do that? So this is, yeah, you're behind. Okay. So this is what I would call like an outcome goal. This is an outcome goal. This doesn't work for me. This is too big. It's too overwhelming. I can think now, y'all are, hopefully I'm not the only one in the room that feels that way. So what I thought instead was, let's do process goals. Instead of outcome goals, let's focus on the process instead. I didn't finish this part. You could break that big goal into smaller goals. You could choose to do quarterly goals, which we're in quarter 3. And I could come up with some quarterly goals or maybe July goals, whatever your goals might be. This is the process. Or even that might be too big. Maybe I need weekly goals. I need to chunk it down so much to go this week. What do I need to do this week? And so it takes it from a giant outcome goal that I feel like I'm failing, might feel like I'm behind, might feel like, is this even working? Why am I even trying at this point? It's already mid-July. But instead, slide over to the process goals and go, can I call 30 people this week? Yep. Can I hold 2 open houses this week? It depends. I mean, I'm just putting examples up here. Yeah, I can hold 2 open houses. Can I send out 8 handwritten note cards? Yep. Can I do a surprise CMA for somebody? Yep, I sure can. Can I set 3 appointments? I can sure try. And then that is more doable. And then I just repeat it the week after week after week, which takes me to here. This is that bingo that I introduced last week. So if you were here, you heard about Agent Bingo. And I have more bingo cards if you didn't get one and you want to play. This is for the month of July. These are processes involved. I'm not asking, and this is how you play. This is the exact card. Can you have 50 conversations in a day? Can you, it kind of ties in. Let's gamify it. Let's make it fun. Let's break it down into individual smaller tasks. And you got the whole month to do this. And if you want to, I'm pivoting just a minute to say, I'm giving prizes for this. So if you get a bingo of any which way, get a bingo, I'm going to get you an HTO gift card just for participating, just for doing it. Then I'm going to take everybody who did it, I'm going to put them in a drawing and I'm going to pick one and they're going to get their office bill paid for the month of August. Then I heard some people, Laura, not to call you out, I heard some people were challenging each other to a blackout. If that happens, I'll give you a $100 gift card. Well, I'm going to put drawing because I don't know if we're going to, how many people I'm doing. Put you in a drawing for a $100 restaurant gift card. So but these are process goals. So this is where I'm going to turn it over to you.
Yeah. All right. 5 minutes, and then y'all can leave. So those of them, the ones that just left early, they're gonna
Yeah,
miss
don't
out.
leave. You're good. You got time.
All right.
Yeah, watch and learn.
One of the things that does anybody know who this is? Yeah, it's Silas in 10 years. Yeah, that is Silas. His name is Roger Bannister. Does anybody know who that is? Yes.
4-minute mile.
4 Minute Mile. It had never been done before. The reason we love Mindset is because it's basically your only barrier. And it doesn't matter what you're trying to accomplish. Every one of us has a choice to make to evolve to the next level or not. A little bit about me. I grew up in West Texas as a cowboy. I know you wouldn't believe that, but this big tall fool can lasso goats and humans on foot or on a horse. So I grew up riding horses, and I grew up in goats, cattle, horses. My dad even had ostriches. My dad had race horses. I grew up training race horses. So I was an actual cowboy wearing a straw hat and cowboy boots with spurs because I broke horses. I did all this. So, but I had been dealing with technology. I'll make it relevant to this. I've been dealing with digital stuff since I was 5, 6 years old, building digital clocks, 7, 8 years old. I've been technologist my entire life. So I'm a programmer. And in most modern years, so I'd program in 6, probably 7 coding languages. But in most modern years, and I'm self-taught, I had to make a decision. I wanted to get into the AI space and build robot brains. And that's what my passion is. So everybody knows about ChatGPT. I knew about ChatGPT before it existed. I built conversational AI just that very same way. So I build different robot stuff, and I'm here because the moment that they kind of sought Brandy out, and Ryan, thank you for, bringing her name up and launching all this. The NCA here chose a different direction, and I had just finished a long 10-year project on a robot. And so basically, this is my greatest example of mindset change. What Brandy's talking about goals. If you have any kind of problem setting goals, the next couple slides are going to help you. So Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile. It had never been done before. What's interesting about mindset is within 1 year, that was in 1954. Everybody hear this. 1955, another person broke it. 1956, 8 people broke it. Since then, over 2,000 people have broke it because it is a mental barrier. So how did he do it? Well, real quickly, the first person he achieved this, there in 3 minutes and 59 seconds. Now, what's interesting about Brandy's theme is the way he did it was break a mental impossibility, which, by the way, before you read that, how many of you guys have a goal that you could write down on a sheet of paper, even if you gave yourself permission to dream, even if you don't even know that it's possible? Could you guys do that as homework for today? Everybody lift your hand and say, yes, I will do it.
Yes, I would do.
I don't care how outrageous it is, because the truth is, I'm a West Texas cowboy. I didn't grow up with computers. I grew up with rakes and shovels. My younger brother named Abel Jr., he says Caesar has a master's degree in shovel, and it's true. But my point is, I had a massive mindset change to make. Well, if you have a mental impossibility, here's how Roger Bannister did it. He actually did what Brandy said. He turned it into measurable chunks. He said, well, a mile has 4 laps. I'm going to focus on 1 lap at a time. I'm going to master the first lap. Once he got that down to a certain time, I'm going to now master the second lap. And he got that down. I'm going to master where I need to be by the 3rd lap in my breathing, my pace, my mindset, where I need to be halfway through the 3rd lap. And then he worked out with this coach. By the 4th lap, you're going to tell me if I am behind or up. And that 4th lap, I'm going to have some reserve. Basically, he broke it down into measurable chunks. That mindset turned the impossible 4-minute mile into basically solvable laps. Now, the reason this is important is because I want to tell you guys what Brandy's talking about here is what everybody's hearing this. And I am very confrontational just by nature. And that's not why I'm a martial artist, but I just grew up. I'm West Texas. I'm Hispanic. I'm Spaniard. I'm big. I'm tattooed. But I was confrontational before tattoos. But if anybody left, here's what I want everybody in here before you leave to understand. The biggest thing that you're probably stuck on is strategy. And there's a reason why. Strategy is basically how you're going to do something. You're like, I'm going to set a goal, but how am I going to do that? If you get stuck here, this is the dream killing stage right here. This is the mindset killing stage. Now, I will never run a 4-minute mile because I don't want to run a 4-minute mile. But there are things that I am wanting to do in my life that are very, very impossible. Ryan does jujitsu. I do jujitsu. Our gyms are different. His gym is amazing. My gym is different. Very, very cool. We do very difficult times. Ryan and I think you go 3 times a week. I go 3 times a week. I spar 30 times a week. And it's brutal. And I do these things, but don't get stuck on strategy. No matter what you're doing, what you're trying to accomplish, whatever you write down on that sheet of paper, you will be able to do it with the right strategy. But the problem is, real quickly, how much time do I have?
You're good.
All right, I'm already a minute late. The problem with this is you get stuck on how to, and you don't understand why. This is why right here. What affects your strategy is the story that you're telling in your head. Now, real quickly, as a brief illustration, I want to tell you this. Have you ever tried to help somebody and they're like, yep, I already tried that. You give them a strategy and you go, yep, that won't work for me because I've already done it and it doesn't work that way. What you're actually, and maybe that's you with your goal. Maybe I already tried this goal. Maybe I, tried to program or I tried coding, and what interrupted my space in the AI space was ChatGPT. Now I use ChatGPT, but I was building something like ChatGPT, and my whole point was my story had to change. Now your story is what you tell yourself, and when you hear somebody say, "I've already tried that," what you're dealing with is their story. They basically say that type of tool doesn't work for me, or that type of skill set I can't do, or goal setting is not for me. Now, I was trained in goal setting since I was a young kid. My dad said, here's what we're going to do today. Here's how you're going to do it. Set the goal to do this. And I mean, I just grew up around that culture. But I want you to think about what your story is, because the problem is if your strategy conflicts with your story, you will never overcome that. You have to change your story, because your story, I want you to hear this statement. Your story is your inner script and the movie that you play in your head about yourself. And there's something that's God-given about your soul, which is your innards. You like that word? Your innards will always be consistent with the story you're telling yourself. So if your story doesn't match your strategy, you're going to discount it and you're not going to ever utilize it like you can. But the problem is maybe your story is correct, but it's still not happening. What is it? Well, it's called your state. It's your state that you get yourself into. How many of you guys have ever played sports? You guys know about zone, being in the zone?
Mm-hmm.
When Michael Jordan was in the zone, he could almost be like getting choked out and he'd throw the ball behind him and it would still go in. Steph Curry, same thing. He's half court, throws it up like nothing. He's in a state. And the truth is, you can have the right strategy and even tell yourself the right story, but if you don't know how to get yourself in the right state, it doesn't matter. And state is very, very important about what you tell yourself, because your state will write your story or rewrite your story, or it will reinforce your story. So when Brandy, she's so funny because she doesn't even know that she's actually good at goal setting. But it's the story that maybe you come from a background that you've never heard stuff like that. You grew up in an area where, or in a family environment where your parents never talked to you about goal setting. They never talked to you about you can achieve anything. Your state of mind is very, very important, because if you're not in the right state, then your story doesn't matter. So knowing how to get in the right state. So real quickly, I will give you guys this. Goals are hard. There's this thing about your state called identity reinforcement. Everything on your inside, your nervous system, will reinforce the story. Is there anybody that has ever felt a little depressed?
Yep.
Can I tell you what it's called? Neuro-linguistic programming, NLP. The NLP definition of depression is when your outer circumstances don't align with your inner story. And so basically your inner story, when your inner story is one thing, but your circumstances doesn't align it, it creates this sense of depression. And so whatever you tell yourself is going to be reinforced. Your nervous system is designed to align you with your inner story. And so I just wanted to touch this. Oh, I just said that.
Yep.
Real quickly, just 3 final things that I wanted to tell you about your state. These are pretty cool things. Ryan competed, a couple months ago, Ryan? March 15th. I competed probably a month before that, I think. We both won gold, and we didn't compete against each other because well, it's a whole different competition. But But, and all we have to use is the tools of jujitsu, because that's all I do now. Brandy tells me all the time, jujitsu is life, I guess.
Right, Stephanie? It's a thing.
I don't really do my laundry as much, but jujitsu laundry is washed and folded and cleaned and ready to go. But one of the things that I will tell you guys is that putting ourselves out there and competing, it makes you think, what do I do? How do I think? How do I approach this? That guy is going to be trying to choke me out. That guy is he's going to break my limb or choke me out. That's jujitsu. And my wife joked, she was like, you know, you're old enough to be a grandpa now, right? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, you're going to be choking out another grandpa in front of his grandkids. Are you sure you want to do that?
It's there to help.
But it makes you put yourself into a focus. And that's what a zone is. And that's what a state is. You have to pick your priorities and where you want to focus. Because basically, if you know, life is a lot about priorities. And boundaries come from priorities. Achievement comes from priorities. And focus is the main thing. Obviously, self-talk. Does anybody talk well to yourself or bad to yourself?
Mm-hmm.
When we talk about being life coaches, you have to pay attention to your self-talk, because your self-talk, hear the statement, is your mind programming system. It is literally your mind programming system. If you want to do a deep dive into anything real quickly as I close, just look at Olympians and their self-talk. Just do a simple thing and you'll be blown away. And then obviously the physical, not just taking care of yourself physically, but even just the way you stand, even the way you just carry yourself. You know, which one looks more depressed, like I'm going to achieve my goals? This or this? I will say one statement real quickly, that you can actually get your nervous system to align itself through using your physical body. Most of us want our physical body to feel good first, or inside first, and then our physical body will respond. You can actually use your physical body. And that works so well that when I competed, my first opponent forfeited just by looking at me. No, I'm kidding.
It's true.
So I want to give you guys 2 pieces of homework in my closing. And that is, number 1, write down whatever your goal is. And then I want you guys to write down this statement underneath it. I am really great at, and then I want you to fill in the blank. And I want you to write that statement for one reason. I call it like a flashlight statement. When you write, I am really great at, and then fill in the blank, watch what your mind, all the objections that it tells you. When you come up with objections and your mind tells you, yeah, but, or have you thought about this? Or yeah, right, I know you ain't good at that. That's your self-talk. And honestly, that's the state that you live in. So just a simple reminder that no matter what it is, when you're talking about micro goals, micro steps, chunking things down, pay a lot of attention to what? Your strategy. But if you struggle with strategy, it's probably your story. But if you don't know how to stay in that story correctly, it's the state that you live in. If you want to do a little bit deep dive into it, you can look up NLP state. NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming, state, getting into state. This is very, very important. But if you notice, the highest achievers in all of KW, all these panels, they live right here. And the people statistically, their production goes like this. They come in and out of that. There's pockets of this. So the goal is to get all of us to live in this kind of thing. We may do another whole class for this
I
kind
was
of
just
stuff.
thinking about that. Would you guys be interested in like
I'm
a whole
done.
class on
Thank
mindset
you.
for like an hour? Like where we could do a deep?
There's so much meat to this kind of stuff, you know, so
Well, we appreciate it. Yes,
yes. Business.
business planning. Yeah. I like it.
Absolutely.
I like that.
So that's,
I like that. And if I can just take all of that and tie it up with a bow and bring it back to real estate, it would be, if you set out to have a garden, how many has a garden? Anybody have a garden? Wish I had a garden. When you set out to have a garden, you don't know how many watermelons you're going to grow in a season. You could put watermelons on your board and go, I want 25 watermelons this year. Well, we don't know. But what we do know, we can pick good seed. We can plant it at the right time. We can water it correctly and often. We can pull weeds. We can do the things it does that to produce the watermelons. Same as real estate. We, maybe can't guarantee. There's a lot of things we can't control in real estate. It's good to have goals. It's good to have these things, but let's focus on the process. Let's focus on the micro things instead of the big old things that say, if I don't get 25 watermelons this year, I am a total loser. And maybe farming isn't for me. Well, what if you got 20? What if you got 30? So my whole point is let's focus on the processes, focus on the state, focus on the strategies, focus on, and if you need help with that, come see me. Let's set an appointment, talk. We'll close my door and let's talk through your thing. If you're having trouble, like Brandy, I don't know. I struggle with my self-talk. I struggle with setting goals. I don't know how to do this. That's what I do. That's why they hire me. That's why I'm here, is to help you through that, help you through these roadblocks, help you through these mental blocks. Yes.
You go with Brandy and do the APA exam. It's super easy and it literally will spell out everything that you're really good at in your business and then things that you really don't like to do in your business. It even gives you a breakdown of like a synopsis of who you are, and it was awesome. So Brandy's got all the tools, so go to her.
Yeah,
and she'll
thank you.
help you expand your business, I promise.
And you're not bothering me. Literally, this is my job. So schedule an appointment with me. Let's talk. Let's go through it. Let's whatever you need. That's what we're here for. So, and we'll work on maybe scheduling something for another class for another time.
I think one good closing is Ryan.
Yep.
Ryan, you became from a carpenter to this. That was a mindset change for you. Focus, self-talk. This works. Yep.
If you want a bingo card and didn't get one for the month of July, if you're in, I mean, you might as well do this stuff anyway. You might sell a house from it. You might get a lead. You might, who knows? And so anyway, come get one of these. I think we're done and we're going to play some music until 11:30. If you wanted to, thank you. If you want to help with the Texas flood relief, come up here and get, maybe not here, but. So Jeremy, you're how it's going over the contract.
It was fun working with people. It was nice.